For anchor installations with no chains connecting the bolts, like these little guys here, what do we think is better? Side by side like this, or one above the other? You see both quite a lot in sports routes and multi-pitch routes, and both have their pros and cons. Everyone's going to have their preference here, and I'm sure there'll be lots of comments saying that one is better for a number of reasons. But I'm going to explain here why I think one above the other is the best option here. Let's take a little look. So the argument for placing them side by side, I guess, would be that there's less shock loading on one of them if the other one was to fail, right? The rope is almost kind of taut already, and it would just kind of be a bit more of a gentle loading on the other bolt. But that's kind of the only pro that I can see, and maybe you can think of other ones, so leave them in the comments for sure. The cons of installing them side by side is that we're going to get a bunch of rope twisting, right? We all know if you've ever had to rappel off of two bolts side by side, the twisting is crazy, and that can be super frustrating. And also the rope is going to be coming up and then through these two bolts almost at a 90-degree angle, which we know generates a lot of extra force on the bolts. If we place one bolt underneath the other, yes, we do run the risk of shock loading the lower one in the case the top one was to fail. But is it really a big shock load? I mean, we're climbing with dynamic ropes. Like, that rope is going to be pretty stretchy. It's going to absorb a lot of the shock. I don't know if it's a big deal. And by placing them vertically, we're going to avoid some, not all, but some of that rope twisting. So in my opinion, it's better to stack anchor bolts vertically. I think it has a lot more pros than it does cons. Yes, there is that main con of potential shock loading in the case of the top one failing. But like we said before, dynamic ropes kind of absorb most of that, I guess. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've got any thoughts about this. And as always, stay safe and make sure to follow along for more.